Hey everybody, welcome back again to the Armchair QB show. I'm Bill Reed. With me as always, the co-host here on the 614 Radio Network.
All day.
He is the host of the Great Manners Show, Mike Devine. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain, you know. Man, I tell you what, I wanted to go see the new Joker flick this weekend.
Dude, I've been looking so forward to that. Are you gonna see it this weekend or what?
I was going to. Now I'm kind of afraid to.
Why?
There's like
You're a wuss. Come on.
There's like threats of violence and extra security precautions and crazy people going to the movies. Did you hear about this guy? I think it was in New York or somewhere where he was, or maybe it was L.A. I don't know. This guy was freaked out all the people there, and he was like cheering when the Joker, every time the Joker.
That's what I was literally just gonna pull up that article.
And
yeah,
he was like drunk, and I don't know, man.
Apparently, it was kind of uncomfortable.
Well, you got to figure the Joker. It had the biggest opening in October, the month of October history.
Yeah.
It was like, I think like 93 million domestically and like 234 million worldwide. Just smash all of October records. But they told ahead of time, like, hey man, especially since Aurora, Colorado, in 2012 when The Dark Knight Rises came out. I mean, they think the Joker might bring out the real crazies. I mean, we're living in some crazy times anyway.
Yeah, man. There's if you look like in Reddit and stuff like that, like some of these like sub threads and whatever, and there definitely is a dark, seedy like underbelly to it's just culture in general, where it's a lot of anger, vitriol, just ugliness, and so I think they thought that was just going to bring a lot of those kind of people out. But then the irony though is that how many people were actually thinking about that before they even started making all these comments about how dreary and ugly it was. So it's like It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's one of those things. Is art imitating life and vice versa? It's I don't remember there being shooting at the movie theaters when some of the more violent movies came out in the 80s and 90s. When Rambo came out, for example, you didn't see people bringing Uzis and bazookas to it didn't. Look at Saving Private Ryan. Remember how jarring that was when it came out like 20 years ago? And that was an awesome movie. And it was, I don't know. I know the Joker's a little bit different. He touches on, it's almost like the taxi driver. It's just like this anti-society, the outcast. That's who the crazed lone gunmen seem to be. Just society or mentally deranged or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a therapist. I mean, do you think that it's a reflection of society, or do you think, not to put you on the spot, or do you think society is a reflection of pop culture, or is it both?
I mean, I think it's both. It's definitely very symbiotic. I mean, I think the reason why movies like this kind of come out because it is I think it is kind of like that reflection of just like how ugly and bad not American, just human nature can kind of be, and so that sometimes movies can be almost like a mirror being held up to humans, and sometimes you got to like over exaggerate it to get people to kind of listen, and that's what I think it almost kind of is. But if you also really look at the time period that it took place in, it was on purposely done in the 80s because New York was a bad place in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
and it was really
not like the tourist attraction today.
Yeah, so it was really kind of they specifically did it to kind of illustrate that. I think so. I
think that was one of the reasons. I think the other one, what I'd heard, was they wanted to make sure there was absolutely no connection. More than what was intended to the Batman universe.
Yeah.
The current Batman. I think there's a scene where there is like an interaction with a young Bruce Wayne, like child, and like I think his dad Thomas Wayne. But so maybe they're kind of just giving you just enough Batman connection to, I don't know, satisfy the hardcore audience, or maybe they are trying to set up something down the road. I don't know. But it's not really there. It's not. Other than that, it's not really. It's not really an action hero. Your standard issue DC comic or Marvel comic, movie. It's a guy named the Joker. I think it's based on one of the graphic novels, or loosely based. That was The Killing Joke, or the long. I can't remember which one, but one was where he does play a failed stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that as a kid, thinking that's just a terrible worst back. The Joker was a failed stand-up comic, and now you see this movie and you're like, oh damn.
Well, have you been seeing like the whole thing about Wrinkles the Clown?
Who's Wrinkles?
All right, so dude, this is what I was pulling up here.
Is he inspired from the
So,
Joker?
all right, so I was
Wrinkles.
reading this earlier. So, if you just Google like Wrinkles the Clown, right? So
Between him and It Too coming out,
it's kind of like it's
clown. It's Halloween season, so people are scared of clowns.
So Wrinkles the Clown, basically. So this guy was in Florida, okay, And so these it was like these posters were put up like on like lamppost, like all across the city. Okay, and it was had a phone number basically, and it had like this like clown mask, and almost like it was like melted and wrinkled and just awful, right? And it was basically if your kids were being bad, that it was for parents to call, and Wrinkles will come to your house. There's a whole like documentary in the YouTube. It is the creepiest freaking thing on there. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it is creepy as all get out, man. So it's like
we will be bringing you Wrinkles the clown phone number at the end of this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, dude, so it's society, man.
So what does he do? Commit a crime?
No, it was literally like it was to teach kids a lesson. So if your kid
is this present day.
Yes. If this was a punk ass little kid, right?
Can we get him on the show?
I don't know. I mean, what's his phone number?
Well, I mean, not right now, but I will.
So it's a documentary. So it's called Wrinkles the Clown. It's a documentary. I believe it's on Netflix. The trailer's on there. Here, look at the, like.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's creepy as shit, man. So like, there's a whole documentary. There's like videos about it. It's like
I love it.
It's so basically it was all about scaring misbehaving kids. If your kid was a punk ass little bitch, you call Wrinkles, and Wrinkles would be like they had this one video I saw in the trailer.
Hey, he's cheaper than military school,
dude. They had this one where it was like this little girl, like this kid. I don't know, she's probably like in high school, and she was like lying in bed. And they had like the nanny camera on, and then Wrinkles gets into the room, and he's just lying there next to her. Dude, it's creepy as shit. So like. Man, I don't know, man. Like the whole clowns and the whole backdrop. It's.
Well, get back to what we were saying though about the Joker. I mean, do you think that the makers of the Warner Brothers have already come out and said, we obviously don't condone any violence, and yet we still support this movie? It's almost like they're having their cake and eating it too. Like they want to absolutely not condone any of the violence, and we do not. However, go see this really violent movie that could or could not impact society as a whole. I don't know if it's going to have that much of a reaching impact. You're going to always have that one or two crazy people.
I think you place more
after Aurora, Colorado, man. That's
see. I think that's really more. I think really of what bothers me is that we're in this place now in society where like they're doing like mass shooting drills at our schools for our kids. When we're so worried about mass shootings that we're worried about a movie going in trigger, and it's kind of like, we got some bigger issues to worry about if we're worried a movie is going to trigger. There's been like ugly movies. There's been, dark movies that have been out and it doesn't cause it. It's like we're in this environment. It's kind of like being afraid of a fire starting when you're like in like gasoline vapors all around you. And it's kind of like, oh my God, is that the spark? What kind of spark is it? Should we like outlaw sparks? And it's like, how about we get rid of the gasoline vapors all around us? So we don't have to worry about sparks setting it off. And that's what we're thinking about here. And it's just like, I think we're kind of like, focusing on what we should be about this.
Well, speaking of violent films, I mean, I know you're excited for the
The Irishman, dude.
The new Scorsese film, The
Irishman. Man. So this thing is supposed to be like almost 4 hours long.
That's crazy.
Dude, it's amazing, right? So
you gotta have an intermission, right?
Well, the thing is it's going to be on Netflix. So you can technically pause and go. So yeah, so the whole thing is like, so Netflix is getting into movies, but so to be an Oscar nomination or Oscar contention, it has to be released in movie theaters.
See, I did not know that.
So AMC theaters, Marcus theaters, Cinemark theaters are all not going to show it because they have like this unspoken rule where you need a certain amount of time in between when the movie is in a theater and then on Netflix, right? Which makes sense from a business.
Or on DVD. Or
yeah.
Blu-ray, yeah.
So apparently so they want to release it 1 week after. They want it in movie theaters for a week and then release it.
Just so it's like Oscar.
Just so it's in the movie theater. So then the only ones that are going to be showing it are like the smaller kind of independent ones.
These theaters have gotten together and like colluded to not show it.
It's just that they broke an unspoken rule, apparently.
No, it sounds like a spoken rule.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense because you spend a lot of money on those movies.
I wonder why movies have to be in theaters to be, eligible for Oscars.
It's just how it's always kind of been. Because then it's like, the old school. Well, if you go straight to video, it sucks.
Well, yeah, generally it's true, but now I think with Netflix now and the way they're operating, that they've really kind of gone beyond that. To me, it seems like almost a money grab.
I think they're trying to change it. It's just like the good old, it's just tradition, I guess. Yeah. So it's gonna be released for like a week, and then it's gonna be on Netflix. So you can start and stop it. But people are throwing around the M word, masterpiece. Like, like the way I look at it, I mean, like especially nowadays because everything's been so overdone, redundant. You always get some ass clown that goes like, "Well, it was good the first time it was called,"
Yeah.
like the dudes from like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Worst movie ever.
Comic book guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, people are saying it is amazing. They even used this anti-aging CGI technique. So when they do the old scenes, like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, like apparently it's kind of eerie. So I am so excited because I think they're saying this is going to be Scorsese's last mobster-like film.
They could just get like the extra footage from like Casino or Goodfellas. For for Bob De Niro.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they brought Joe Pesci. He came out of retirement for this.
Yeah, I know. This is like, so they're saying it is so awesome, and yeah, it's long. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I heard that. I was like, wow.
Casino was long. Casino's
it
was like 3 hours.
Almost 3 hours. Yeah.
I remember I bought it on tape.
Yeah.
Tape,
Yeah, those double tape. Yeah.
And I know I'm in the minority, but I like Casino a little bit more than Goodfellas, and I love Goodfellas. But I guess I don't know. Nothing against Goodfellas. I thought it's a 4-star movie. But I know I'm the minority, but I just.
Ooh, man, God, you got me thinking now.
I just like Casino a little bit more. I don't know. I think because I like more behind the scenes of the casino and how it operated and it showed, being gone to Vegas several times.
I'm thinking of like quotable. I'm thinking like a lot of the quote. So you called my friend you told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, right.
Gee, Sam, he's already very sorry.
So Joe Pesci, who like
you fucking Momo,
5'3", is smashing this guy with a payphone who's like 6'2" at least, and just beating the crap out of him. Stuff like that,
And what the fuck you doing on TV anyway?
I know. I mean,
yeah, I do. All right, I'm gonna probably.
But you hear about getting back to what we were saying. Movies like Casino, movies like The Irishman, you are not going to hear about a spike in violence possibly because they don't appeal to the crazed lone gunman.
Casino, a guy's eye is being popped out of his head in a vice grip.
Yeah, and Joker. I mean, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And normally I love going to the movies. I mean, I love going to the movies, but now it's like the prices are through the roof now. They make the movies smaller because you can have the reclining seats, which I love. But it gives them room to raise the prices.
Yeah.
You go buy like a Coke. It's like $4.95. You go there, you take your wife or you take a date or whatever, and I mean you're not walking out of there like under like $40 or $50, which is fine. But damn, you're at the movie,
yeah, dude. And they've kind of outpriced them. I mean, it's kind of like their own damn fault.
So I don't mind going to the movies, but I don't go nearly as often for a variety of reasons. But the number two, then you hear them say, they have beefed up security because there might be. I'm going. Wait a minute. Okay, I want to see the Joker as much as a nice person, but that almost kind of eliminates it for me. Not that I wouldn't go see it, but I don't know. It just seems ridiculous now that we're at with movies. It's not real, people. It's like it almost reminded me of like the defense of people. Remember back in the day when kids would like do professional wrestling moves. And then they would blame like Kevin Nash because he did the power bomb.
Yeah.
Or the Giant. He did the choke slam. Oh, Jake the Snake. Tell me how to do the DDT. Man, listen. You can look at all the bad stuff you want, right? You can look at wrestling. You can look at violence. You can look at porn. You can look at what other taboo bad things. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your own actions. Unless you are literally mentally deficient. And I'm not picking on people that are, but if you literally do not know right from wrong, first of all, you shouldn't be watching this stuff anyway, and whoever is supervising you should know that. But at the end of the day, as a parent, you got to know what your kids are watching. As an adult, you have to know what's good and what's not, like what to do and what's not. Come on, that's just Darwinism right there. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I agree, man.
If you can't figure it out, I mean, I think it's strange. I love it, but I think it's a little strange that SmackDown has moved to Fox.
Yeah, now the thing
Straight
is,
up
like,
Fox, not Fox Sports 1.
Yeah.
Not, Fox.
But didn't Raw used to be the flagship?
Raw was the flagship since the beginning. Since, I think
So it's weird though because that is now moving to.
I would say it's the B show now because Fox.
So Raw is the B show now.
Well, by de facto, I think it is
network TV.
Right? They didn't come out and say it's the B show, but it's on Fox. Raw's on USA.
Yeah.
Which is still, and the ratings have been going down, but I'm talking about the money that's involved. Like the
So I mean, is anything?
Hundreds of millions. Of
so they do anything different? Because that was a question I was going to have for you. Like, are they doing?
Well, they've only had one episode so far, so I only got that one to judge on. I can tell you they have it's the season premiere, and so every couple of years they change like the entire stage and the set anyway. They have a whole new kind of stage setup, which looks pretty cool. I can tell you right off the bat, I think it looks better than Raw's new one. I'm trying to compare them side by side.
Yeah.
I think it looks better than Raw's. That's just my opinion. But as far as they are presenting it, and they've openly said this, they're presenting it more like a real sporting event, like Fox is. Like even though we all know, we're all in on it, and we know that it's predetermined, right? Which is, otherwise we'd all be watching amateur wrestling, but which we're not, right? And I used to amateur wrestling. I can tell you, it's kind of boring. If you're not a fan, it can be kind of boring.
Yeah.
Right. But it's kind of weird to see Erin Andrews in the back in the locker room area.
Oh, wow.
Interviewing Paul Heyman in character. And she's going, well, I'm back here with Brock Lesnar's manager, and I'm going to get a few words on how the match is going to go tonight. And then, you're like, for a split second, you almost like lose focus on, and all of a sudden he goes,
that's interesting.
And he just starts yelling at her, Erin Andrews, I do not need you. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
That's kind of cool, though, actually.
It is, but I'm just wondering if, like...
Is it gimmicky, or is it actually something that might play?
That's what I'm wondering. It's like, is it sustainable? Because we kind of all, know, it's almost reminded me a little bit of The Masked Singer, where you're like, okay, there's someone singing there. I'm not saying it's fake, but you're just like...
The gimmick can kind of wear off.
Is it a gimmick?
Yeah.
And like, it's got to get the ratings. And, Lesnar, he won the main event for the title that night. He won in 7 seconds. 7 seconds, Mike, on the debut show. Now, granted, afterwards, after he beat Kofi, right, they had his old UFC rival, Cain Velasquez, come out, right, and basically stare him down. He took him down.
Yeah.
He took down Lesnar, and it was like this brouhaha, and like they're trying to, I guess, mix UFC into WWE, which, I don't know, it is cool, but it's a different sport. I mean,
I guess the question I have for you is like, can wrestling ever get back to where it was? Because
100% no.
Yeah.
Not
I think that's their problem. It's like, what do you do when you're never ever going to get back to what you were? You
do what you can.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a big audience for it, don't get me wrong, but the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak. And what I mean that is like they call kayfabe, and kayfabe was like the idea of how you would work the crowd, into believing that it was still real, even though most of the crowd knew, hey, something's not right, or there would still be certain elements for like, wait a minute, that was real right there. I could tell that guy really doesn't like that guy, or hey, that wasn't supposed to happen. Where now, what killed it? What usually kills a lot of things? The internet.
Yeah.
The internet, helped it in some ways, and it killed it in some ways. The internet, everyone knows everything, and it's like, there's no illusion. It even says at the beginning, if you go to the WWE Network, it will say in the thing, WWE Network, please know that the actors portraying characters are fictional. And as an old school hardcore fan, I'm going, fuck. Is that really, like, imagine you're watching Terminator, which is coming out soon, and they're going, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not really the Terminator. And like, I know that, Dick, but do you need to like totally take me out of?
I think like, what's interesting is that like, because because we're doing this show, I know a lot of times we talk about wrestling, so there'll be times I'll start wrestling some matches, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I can almost say, like, I think the quality of wrestling is better. The technical aspect of it. I mean, there's some moves you're just like,
they're way more athletic. They're way more athletic. I'll give them that.
A lot more fast paced, high flying. A lot more. I mean, like ones where you can tell, like, dude, if they were off a little bit, like, they're gonna hurt somebody,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But then it's like the thing that's distracting, is literally the acting. The acting is distracting. The storylines are abysmal.
Yeah.
They're not even well thought out. They're gimmicky. There's no creativity behind it. It's like
a bad soap opera.
It's worse than that. And it's like I could sit there
can actually act to where you kind of believe it.
It's like, dude, I could, if you were to like sit there and do like, hey, Mike, I'm gonna pull out here. I'm gonna put 100 words and adjectives or whatever nouns in a hat, and you're gonna pull it out, and that's gonna be your wrestling character, and you're gonna have 30 seconds to come up with it. I think I could come up with a better wrestler persona in 30 seconds than they come up with.
Yeah.
And I don't get that.
Well, again, they have writers now.
Yeah.
They have like literally writers who write these scripts, write the promos, write the interviews for the guys, and the guys have to like memorize them or read them off of cue cards or whatever. And you know, a lot of wrestlers have come out and said, you know, this is not. This is what I am. This isn't good for me. This isn't how I do it. And it shows in these wrestling promos where they're like, "Oh, tonight I'm." You know, you could kind of see them even reading off the side. You know, they'll be like, "Tonight I'm going to completely obliterate you and win the title." And it's just you're just like, that's brutal. Like you couldn't come up with that on your own. You had to, you know, some guy. I don't know. It just.
Well, the thing is, I mean, did the wrestlers have more control? Because I know Bischoff wrote for WCW when it was in its heyday. I mean, did the wrestlers write like more?
I think the wrestlers had way more. They can't. They probably. Like, I think the management kind of came up and said, "Okay, here's where we're getting to," and it was up to the wrestlers to kind of decide how to get there.
Yeah.
Like, here's what we want to do. Where now I think it's a lot more. I know it's a lot more. But there's a lot more. There's bigger money involved too.
Yeah.
So. But there's more writers who are now writing promos and saying, okay, maybe even step by step. You have wrestlers who I've heard some plan out their match, you know, move for move, which the old school wrestlers will tell you that's good, but when something fails and then you're lost out there because you don't have the feel of it. I don't know. Sometimes it translates over. I think that being SmackDown being on Fox is going to be good. I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know.
Because like, here's what I look at. Like, so if you were to be like, hey, Mike, like if you could like write an episode or write a match, right, a character, you know what I'd come up with? I would come up with a character who basically is like I think wrestling, you guys are all fake, and then I would make the whole shtick. I actually really hurt people. Like, it's like, oh, it's supposed to be fake, man. Stop hurting me, right? Yeah. And then I'd literally just like, I would hurt you. Like, I would actually make real wrestling moves. I would literally like put the move on way too hard, and that would be my shtick. Like, I would literally act like I would basically call out wrestling for being fake, and then I would just hurt people.
They sort of kind of did that a little bit with Lesnar when he returned from UFC back to WWE. Heyman was his spokesperson, his advocate, who's a fantastic talker. You talk about someone able to talk people into the arena.
Yeah.
Heyman can talk people into the arena.
Yeah.
He didn't come out and say, fake.
Yeah.
But he did say, you know what, this guy's coming from a cage fighting. He doesn't
Yeah. He doesn't get it.
He doesn't do sports entertainment.
Yeah.
He does fight it.
Yeah.
And when his first fight against John Cena, you're going to understand that he doesn't understand what sports entertainment is.
Yeah.
And I went going, and for the first time in a long time, I went, I can't wait.
And I would bring back guys like in back stretchers, like body bags. Like I'm not talking like
you go from being real to bringing out Undertaker.
I'm telling you. Like, I mean, I would just go like way over the top with it, man. I don't know, man. Like, I would just say I literally just pulled that out of my ass, and that is a better storyline than anything that anyone has come up with.
There's a lot of hope for it. I mean, again, Fox paid hundreds of millions of dollars for these rights, so they're investing money in it. They basically signed. I heard that they signed like the Undertaker to like a quote unquote lifetime contract. They've re-upped, all the old school guys. Like they re-upped Lesnar. They don't want him going to the competition. There's a new upstart league, AEW, and I guess
Jerichoholics.
The Jericho is there, and they're worried that maybe more it'll be like the old WCW, more guys. So they lock these guys up, like don't give them a chance to go. But there's still be some guys that get over there. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if it's sustainable long term. If Fox can I don't know. I have no idea. And if it gets canceled, what happens then?
I would be like crazy. Like, you can be a crazy character. Start like setting fires in an arena. Be like a terrorist and ISIS fighter.
Well, they don't have. They had Muhammad Hassan years ago, and then they had to get him off TV because I can't remember what channel they were on. SmackDown was on at the time, but like the London bombings had just happened. And of course,
that's when you want to do it even more.
Well, that's what I said.
Ayatollah was like, was it trampling on the American flag?
Well, they they used to tape SmackDown back in the day, so it would be like 3 days before it aired, and like they filmed this like scene where Muhammad Hassan had a bunch of guys in ski masks come out who looked like jihadists, right? And they beat up like the Undertaker or something. Now keep in mind they were white guys and they were like wrestling like extras, from the back. And of course, this guy never mentions jihad or religion or anything like that. So the next day that the London bombings happening, well, like a day later, they air SmackDown unedited, and some newspapers come out and rip them, and they're like, Muhammad Hassan and these Muslim terrorists, and there's this big thing because wait, no one ever said they were Muslim terrorists. You just assumed that, you racist SOB, which is kind of true, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, you kind of Got caught with your hand. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute. No one mentioned religion or politics. They were just guys in ski masks that came out and beat up the Undertaker. Now, it was implied that it was, they were his, but it's that fine line. It's pro wrestling.
It is, and I was kind of looking up here, looking at like the ratings and everything, and you're right. It's just been this from 2000, it's just been this slow whittling kind of away, and it's just like they haven't really done much.
There's too many options for entertainment now, though. Look how many channels you have. You have Netflix. You have all this other stuff. I mean, I think that was going to happen regardless. They could still have the best writing ever. I still think you're going to see the ratings kind of go down. But is it still enough to make money? Obviously, it is. That's what I think. So.
Yeah, it's just sad, man. I mean, because I'm just really looking at
I don't know about sad.
I think it's sad because we used to really I don't know. I used to kind of enjoy it growing up, and I went through a little fits and starts kind of with it. It's just, gosh, it's what it's become is just kind of abysmal. I'm look at some of these characters, man. I mean, it's where are these outfits? I mean, really?
I know. You know who else is abysmal?
Who is abysmal?
Speaking of sports.
Speaking of, yeah.
Yeah, or allegedly a sports team. I'll tell you what, man, the Miami Dolphins, they are in a world of shit. We mentioned it before.
Dude, out of the Jets, man, I don't know. I don't know who's worse, the Jets.
No way. My money's on.
Did you see what the Eagles did to the Jets this weekend? One guy, they literally sacked him and just took the ball out of his hands and ran it in for a touchdown.
Dude, the Dolphins, okay, the Dolphins are playing the Redskins, right, who just fired their coach.
Yeah.
They're calling it the Tank Bowl. It's coming up this weekend on I think, the 13th.
There's not a suck for luck, though, so who are they going to go after?
Anybody. I'll tell you what, there's a big SI article this past week about the Dolphins just trying to tank. Now they're talking about other sports, other teams that have tanked. The NBA's worked, Major League Baseball's worked. Not so sure it's going to work in the NFL. It's a different animal. Would you agree on that?
Oh, dude, totally, man.
It's not. I don't know. Like they said, in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, people are either going to be following the Dolphins' model of tanking, or they're going to it's going to be a cautionary tale. It's not going to be. You're going to say, "Wow, that's a great idea," but they're showing the Dolphins fans and.
They're angry,
stadium,
man. But they've been bad for a while.
Well, that's the thing is they've been bad, especially the last couple of years. But the owner, the people in charge, said, "You know what? If we're going to be bad, let's be real bad." It's like the owner from the movie Major League that owned the Indians. Yeah, she bought a bunch of scabs so they could relocate, ironically enough, to Miami.
Yeah, it's just weird though because it's it's like they brought Rosen in and didn't start him, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Washington, who Jay Gruden apparently hates. What's his name? The quarterback from Ohio State.
Well, Gruden's gone now.
Yeah, so it's he refused to start him, and it's just man, yeah, dude.
There's a reason why both teams have yet to win a game.
But I guess the thing, I guess my question is, is there really that quarterback that you're sitting there going, we have to get him? It's not the year you had Goff, Wentz,
Forget the quarterback, anybody, a running back.
Yeah, but these are teams that don't have a quarterback.
The running back is back in style. I like quarterbacks, but as a fan, I always thought the running back was more exciting. I don't know why. I like a good big money quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I always like the running back a little bit more, and I don't know. It's kind of just one of those deals where it is what it is. And
yeah, it is funny because I think as I've gotten older, I always loved that flashy quarterback receiver combo, but then it's you do there's been something with this year the Eagles their running game, especially the last two games, has just been crucial, man. They got a nice little combo, and it's you watch it and you watch some guy just pound through the line. And just I'm telling you where I'm running. I challenge you to stop me and just you can't stop it. There is something that is, I don't know, it's something physical and is badass about that.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about the guy hammering the line. One of the Dolphins players, defensive players, was saying, there's another side of tanking that people forget is when you're on an exceptionally bad team and you get blown out and you're on the wrong side of it, your defense is on the field a hell of a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, and the thing that sucks, they pointed out too, when the Patriots blew them out by 40-some-odd points, whatever it was, that when NFL, especially the NFL, when teams are up big, they start running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, so now you're looking at a battering ram, I think is what he called it, for an extra 30 or 40 times a game coming as a linebacker, coming right at you because that's what they're going to do when you're up big. You're
Dude,
run it, and your defense is on the field for so much longer, and it's just the recovery for the next week. And he goes, it's the equivalent of playing like a couple of extra games a year if you're bad enough as a defensive player.
If you look at, we were at the last game of the Chip Kelly era when the Eagles lost to Washington, and we were, my sister got us badass tickets in the players' family section, so we got to sit with all the family members of the Eagles. And this, remember, like the Chip Kelly warp speed offense, because even when they scored a lot, they were the defense was like on the field like a fucking 4-1, 3-1. They were exhausted, right? And it's like that, especially when they were. It's one thing if you're winning; when you're losing, you see this turning where the defense gets angry. When we were sitting up there, and you had the family members cursing and swearing at Chip Kelly, like when it was just like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and it was just like I remember I turned to Jill, I go, Jeffrey Lurie has never fired a coach before the end of the season. I go, Chip Kelly's getting fired tomorrow.
Gone.
And sure as shit, it was like the next day he was fired.
He's gone.
Yeah, 2 games left. It was just like all hell broke loose, and that's what's happening in Miami. There's a mutiny. Apparently, players are telling their agents, "Get me the hell out of here." Man,
I agree. It's you shouldn't be rewarded for bad behavior.
Oh hell no, no.
Especially if you're tanking. If you can, of course, you can't actually come out and say it unless you're Mark Cuban and you'll get fined. But it is what it is. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a joke. It's in a way. I mean, it's to be a professional football team and to trade away your stars and basically, I think they were like 24 or $25 million under, like, spending 24 or $25 million less than the next team ahead of them.
Yeah,
they're way below.
Yeah, they're just they just don't really seem to have any desire to want to put a good team together. And it's who's going to want to pay hard-earned dollars to even waste a Sunday? Because let's be honest, I mean, you're watching football games like 3.5, 4 hours. Like, I've had some Eagles years where I'm just like, fuck you guys. I'm not giving you my time. No, I'm not. I'll watch something else.
And that's where, for me personally, I think college football, on a personal level, I like it more than pro football. And I love pro football, but as I've said it before, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see tanking in college football, right?
So speaking of college football, I did not realize how fast Justin Fields was.
Oh,
when I was watching that,
Ohio State.
Dude, so he's been like, I mean, I know he's like a kind of a rushing guy, but he's been playing very Russell Wilson-esque, just kind of like moving the pocket around, running when he needs to. It was like the first or second quarter when he stepped back in the pocket, pressure came, stepped up, and then the left side just opened up, and he took off and ran down the sideline. Dude, he I didn't realize how fast he was. Yeah. I mean, he literally took off like lightning. I'm like, damn, like, Ohio State's looking good, man.
I'll tell you,
you have to be feeling. I mean, I like Ohio State. I'm not going to be a poser and be like die hard. I mean, I'm as much as an Eagles fan that you're as much as a Buckeyes fan. But I mean, I love the Buckeyes. I mean, a homer, right? But
oh yeah, I mean, we're homers. We'll openly admit it. I just think that the NCAA rankings as a whole are, it's a big scam.
Did they get moved up to 3 now, or are they still 4?
They're tied for 3rd.
Okay.
All right. Ohio State is tied for 3rd. Despite the fact that I think they looked like the best team in the nation. Now, Clemson and Alabama were off this week, right, in their defense. But if you went so far to this point, and I know we can all argue about who's really played tough opponents, and I get all that. It's still early. But if you want to take into account who's winning by what margin and who's looking the best, I personally think that Ohio State, and again, I know I'm a homer, should probably be number 1. I think they had like 10 first-place votes. So there are some people out there, some coaches that agree with that. But I don't know. I think the rankings in general are just a joke. I think that it's one of those examples where the media has all this power and they get to vote. And I know coaches do too. But the media's like, well, we know best. We're the expert and leave it to us. And I'm so glad that there's a playoff now and that we don't have to worry about, who spent the most weeks at number 1 and what BCS ranking and remember all the stats they would throw out you, the computer would spit it out and say. I'm so glad that they've all but taken that away from people who vote on the teams, because the rankings, it's a beauty contest.
Well, they have Ohio State and Georgia now are tied it for number 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Georgia's a tough team, but Georgia, they don't live up to the hype any year. Every year Georgia gets hyped, and they have yet to actually break through.
Now, do you think, did you expect Ohio State to be as good as they are?
I did not. I thought they would have a little bit of a letdown. New coach. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. I expected a little bit of a letdown, and they still might. They're getting right now into the heart of the Big Ten schedule. LSU, I thought their offense, LSU's like a tale of two cities in a way. Their offense, it looks fantastic. But a few weeks ago, they did give up 38 points to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So for people to say that LSU is the best team, you give up 38 points to Vanderbilt, who is the perennial doormat of the SEC. I'm sorry.
Do you think? Is there any weakness in the Ohio State team right now, from what you've seen?
Right now, I don't see one right now. But again, we got to play. I say we as we're on the team. Ohio State needs to play more competition.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, that's going to be a big one. Penn State's going to be a big one. If they can come out of those two games, now we're talking.
Yeah, the only thing I guess I did see, from a blitzing, their D line is good. I do see some suspect with linebackers. It seems like a lot of guys when they got to the perimeter and they had some speed. Teams. Michigan State ate up some chunks of yards against them. That's the only thing I can maybe see from them going, ooh. Like if you get a really fast quarterback and you
got to make that adjustment. Sure.
Yeah.
The question is, if they get into the playoffs, Clemson right now, they're number 2, but it's like there's some questions about Clemson. I think they're still very talented team. Obviously, Alabama's Alabama.
So who do you think's number 1? Like straight up, like regardless of AP from what you've seen.
I'm going to say as of right now.
Yeah.
Right. Is Ohio State?
And
again, that could change next week. Ohio State could go out and put up a stinker, or they could really sputter and look at Clemson. They barely won against North Carolina by 1 point.
I don't see them.
That's why I hate rankings. That's why I think the rankings are a joke, because it's so subjective and it's so week to week, and it can be a beauty contest. And again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago where Cincinnati, who's now a ranked team, I think it was Cincinnati, Ohio State beat them. Oh God! What was it, 42-0?
Yeah,
and they got leapfrogged by LSU.
Well, it's always
I was like, "Give me a break."
The Buckeyes under Meyer always had like that Iowa State game, or that game where it's like, how did you lose to them, right? Because then the next week, then they would play. The thing is, like, what I see from this team is that I don't see them having that game. Yeah. I don't see them having that game where like an Iowa State or someone sneaks up on them. I think that, and that's like a big difference with this team, I'm very curious to see them against like a dogfight, because they have not been in a close. That's the only thing that's up for debate, is that what is this team going to be like? Moreover, what's Ryan Day going to be like when that's a game where it's going to come down to last possession or a big stop.
Yeah,
that's where I think the only test where you don't really know what this team is made out of mentally, because I think a lot of people are saying Fields apparently chokes, I guess, under pressure, or allegedly.
Well. New team, new teammates, new coaching staff. I give them a fresh start.
Yeah,
it could be the case. We'll see.
Yeah,
only time will tell on that one. So
yeah,
but again, this could change week to week. I know we sound like homers here, but as of right now, I think Ohio State, if you really want, and again, I'm not pretty much stocking who's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because you win your conference. If you go undefeated, you're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and that's all you got to do is just get a spot in the playoffs. If you lose a game, okay, and you somehow miss out the playoffs, say, well, they put 2 teams in from the SEC. You got no one to blame but yourself, because you lost a game which allowed the SEC to put in 2 teams.
Yeah.
All right? Same thing with like the Pac-12. The Pac-12, as it stands right now, is not going to have a team again in the playoffs. They got no one to blame but themselves. You can't blame that on the writers.
Yeah.
You can't blame that on the coaches poll. You can't blame that on whatever. Don't lose the games. As I promise you, there's 4 spots. If you take care of your business and you go undefeated, right? Statistically speaking, you're going to have one of those spots, because there's going to be a couple one-loss teams. You're not going to have 4 undefeated conference champions, let alone 5. When I know Notre Dame, but they lost one. But let's say Notre Dame had gone undefeated. You're not going to have more undefeated teams.
At all. No.
Right. The thing comes down to strength of schedule. Well, if you're, I don't know, a smaller school that doesn't schedule a lot of teams, well, again, you need to schedule harder teams.
Yeah.
Or join a better I don't know, whatever. People are jumping around in conferences left and right. So don't say you can't do it. Just do it. I don't know. I don't know why the Big Ten picked up Rutgers. I know why they did it. I know why they did for the
Rutgers,
for the New York connection, but it would have been better for them to pick up someone like I don't know, Pitt or West Virginia.
Or Wofford.
I'm just saying. Pitt and West Virginia, they're occasionally good. Rutgers is
I
never
heard Stony Brook has a good team this year. Slippery Rock.
Rutgers is never good. Let's be honest. It's just they got that for because they got the New York thing. Did you snort?
I may have. I'm sorry. That made me funny.
I don't know. I mean, what's your thought? You think they're number one? You think
I do, yeah. I think they, because I mean, I once again, like, I think I'm a good gauge of, like, obviously I'm an Ohio State fan, just, being here, obviously Notre Dame fan, so I don't pretend to be like, but that being said, I mean, like, I'm literally watching this team just like, wow. Like, as of right now, I love what I see from this team.
Well, they can say, oh, you played nobody, but you know what? Who's
dude, I mean, they're just,
who's really, I mean, Georgia beat Notre Dame.
No one's really played anybody
LSU
yet.
beat Texas, but they weren't,
The Michigan, I mean, the Michigan, this one was their first test of like a somewhat ranked team, right?
State,
and they handled their business.
Michigan State had a phenomenal defensive line.
Oh, yeah,
they had one of the best in the nation.
Yeah.
The rest of it could be suspect.
Yeah.
But
I think Fields is just fucking killing it. I was not enamored with that whole pickup and how shit went down, but I'm looking at him going, dude, this guy, he's a real deal, man.
Yeah, I would have like if I had to pick, I'd have like OSU 1, Alabama maybe 2, Georgia number 3, and
Clemson number 4.
Clemson 4 or 5. And again, it's not that they're bad, but just compared to those other teams right now. And again, I feel like that could move week to week.
I'm excited for the playoffs this year because dude, it's gonna be a fucking dogfight, man. If barring injuries, I think that top 4 is a legit. Dude, it is gonna be that playoffs this year is gonna be. It's gonna be exciting to watch. I think
I am not over. I'll tell you what. Wisconsin, Penn State look like formidable foes.
That's where the real test comes in the next month, basically. Like, they have some very legitimate, Wisconsin is, to me, I think is going to be their biggest test.
Yeah. Auburn just lost, but I kind of thought Auburn was going to have a letdown.
Yeah.
They have a good future, but I just thought it wasn't their time yet.
Yeah.
The quarterback, the rookie or the freshman, Nix. I don't know.
I just don't see Ohio State losing. I don't.
Well, we said that before, so then you have a.
Yeah, Well, I like what I see so far. It's fun. It's fun watching them play football right now.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll take it 1 week at a time and see where we're at. So
we shall, man.
I know, my man. I know. So, gosh, what else we got going on?
I'm gonna go one more thing if I can, and I know we're gonna go over. All right, so. Everybody was sucking the fucking Cowboys' dick the first 3 games of the season. Dude, they played fucking nobody, right? Everyone was anointing them. Like, oh, the Cowboys are the classy NFC. Oh, the Cowboys are this. Cowboys are that. Man, they've gotten their fucking asses handed in the last 2 games. Fucking even Miami played them tough for fucking 1 quarter. Dak, when it was put on his shoulder, fucking threw 3 inners. Technically had 4, but 2 of them were penalties that were called back. The Cowboys came back down to earth, man. Like, I just hate in the NFL where everybody, it's like they have to suck somebody's dick, right? Oh my God, they're this, they're that. And then it's like, it's the first fucking month of the season, okay? Yeah. All right. You don't see anyone sucking the Patriots' dick. You know why? Because they're the Patriots. You don't need to, right? So I am this, not just because I hate the Cowboys, because I do.
Which you do.
Which I do. I am just, and this is the same week.
Just for clarification, I do not hate the Cowboys. I kind of like the Cowboys. I'm a Bears fan, but they got Ezekiel Elliott, former Buckeye. My brother-in-law, diehard Cowboys fan. I don't hate the
Jerry
Cowboys.
Jones was like comparing Dak. Did you see an interview with him comparing him to like Tom Brady, but then not comparing him to Tom Brady while comparing him to Tom Brady? And it was like really confusing. and then literally they put the game on Dak Prescott's shoulders and he totally choked. Ezekiel Elliott has been pedestrian the whole year.
I want to put you on the spot right now.
Yeah.
As an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, I want your honest opinion.
Yeah.
Who has a better record, the Eagles or the Cowboys?
Eagles. Eagles will have a better record.
Wow. Didn't even
They'll be close. I mean, I think Eagles, I put Eagles maybe at like 11-5, and I think it'll come down to probably like 11-5, 11-5, and then whoever,
right. I think the Cowboys are going to pull the nose up on this thing. Not to say they're going down, but
I mean, all right, maybe being a little tough on them, but it's like, I hated the fact that everyone was just like, oh my God, they're Cowboys. I'm like, dude, they're a solid team, but man, like they're suspect. They got their. I mean, the Eagles got their flaws. Do not get me wrong. Like I've been railing on the Eagles, but they finally got some balance. Mysteriously, we can actually win when we actually have our starting, like wide receivers and running backs in the game. But I think the Eagles are still the class of the NFC East. I don't know. I think the bigger kind of thing for really looking at the NFL, I think Mahomes was injured last night, and he was playing a lot differently, and so that changes the whole dynamic of the AFC, I think, even too.
Yeah, if Mahomes can't go.
Dude, because he was a different player.
Don't go.
Did you watch that game?
A little bit of it.
The second half when he got his ankle rolled up and then it got rolled up again. Dude, I mean, it was a different team. I mean, he was throwing off. I mean, he looked more like Donovan McNabb out there than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, literally, it was pretty bad.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got then too.
So, you don't want to say anything about Andy Reid?
No, I'm good. I'm off.
You trash him every week. Just let it go. Save it for next week. I'm sure you'll think of another Andy Reid story.
I mean, I can come up with something. Yeah. Although he did have a bewildered look on his face.
Okay, I know. Speaking of bewildered looks, right here on the 614 Radio Network.
All day.
I kind of have that look sometimes here.
You do.
It's kind of what I do.
It is what we do. All day.
All day. So
all effing day.
We're going to go ahead and shut this shit down for the week, like Negan does.
We have to?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Negan apparently is now a good guy now?
Man, we'll talk some Walking Dead next week. I like the season premiere. I know a lot of people are down on Walking Dead nowadays, but I'm still a fan.
We may need to cover that one next time, because I used to be a giant fan of it, and I'd stopped watching it.
You're like my wife. We'll talk about it. For myself, Bill Reed, for the host of Great Matters Radio, Mike Devine. Check us both out here on the 614 Radio Network.
All day.
And all night. Thanks for checking us out. Have a great day. Peace.